Integrated supply chain is the combination of all the different functions and individuals that work end to end at Kraft Foods.
Integrated supply chain is basically a horizontal organizational structure where there are 6 disciplines coming together across the entire supply chain that are trying to be integrated and work as a seamless organization together.
Just about everyone in Kraft, not everyone, but just about. We expand across 36 plants, and I will say over 18,000 people, including both folks here in Northfield in the functions, and also our folks across the 36 plants. The one that comes to mind right now is procurement and quality, for example. Really buying the right raw materials and buying the right materials at the right spec, with the right spec, will really yield the quality that we are, first for our process, so we can run it without any scrap or yield loss, and also how we're going to delight our consumers as well. So having a connection between what the quality organization expects and how we buy that with the procurement is really critical. That will just be one example.
Employee engagement is very important with respect to Integrated Lean Six Sigma. And in fact, the effort is really a cultural transformation for a plant and a manufacturing organization. Today, I would say most employees, they probably start a job and they think of it as a job. I come to work every day, I leave every day, and I have to do that to make obviously a living for myself and my family. But what we try to do with Integrated Lean Six Sigma is much more than just have employees just come to work and leave. We want them to be a part of a team. We want them to feel part of each other's teamwork to help others succeed their personal best. We want to train our people how to not only operate a line, but how to maintain their equipment. Sometimes folks might come in and they say, I don't have any mechanical skills. I don't know how to maintain that equipment. That's fine. We'll have our mechanics train those folks on minor maintenance skills so that at the end of the day, a person feels, this is my piece of equipment, I know how to maintain it, I know how to operate it, I know how to run it so it's making excellent quality, I can operate this safely, and it brings a sense of pride and ownership to their work. I have people telling me that, boy, before Integrated Lean Six Sigma, I just came to work, I thought it was a job, I just happened to work with these other people. Today, I look forward to coming to work. I feel I'm a part of a team. They're my extended family. They're helping me learn. They're investing in my success. I want to be successful for them. I want to be a part of this team, and it's an entirely different approach. So employee engagement is at the heart of Integrated Lean Six Sigma.
So it's critical. It's critical. Both on the functions in terms of managing the work processes that deliver the service, that deliver the quality, the engineering work, and others, as well as our people in our plants as to how they go about in the day-to-day making the product that we're going to be able to sell. So them being able to understand what we're doing and be fully engaged in terms of what is different about their role and how they're doing their role is really critical. So getting the 100% employee engagement and involvement is really what's different about the IL Six Sigma.
The way we came up with the words is that a few years ago, Kraft started working on, with black belts, trying to get their lines up to a 3 or 4, eventually, ultimately, a 6 Sigma level. In other words, a statistically controlled process that I know I'm making excellent quality day in and day out because I got a very reliable process. So Six Sigma is a way of statistically looking at how do I develop and ensure I got a good running process. Lean is a concept of how do I do lean flow manufacturing end to end to drive out losses and to simplify and ensure we have best practices. Integration is how do I integrate all of these things together across my 6 disciplines. So at the end of the day, Integrated Lean Six Sigma, I think, is really a cultural change of how do we operate the lines, how do we run the lines, how do we have our associates better trained and skilled for doing that. The job of managers are to become servant leaders for those folks within our operations. If you look at what the results are in terms of best-in-class operational excellence companies, in terms of within their total supply chain, these are the companies that are doing Integrated Lean Six Sigma, TPM, high-performance work systems, basically the concept of 100% total employee involvement and zero losses, a zero loss mentality. But the biggest reason for doing it, I believe, are for our associates and our people on the line. I can tell you there once a line in Champaign in terms of one of their lead lines, and I can remember the individual. She was sharing with a group of us that she worked on the line from hell. She's worked on that line for 10 years. Her line would shut down every 90 seconds. She'd be coming home from work. She says, I was tired, I was worn out from trying to get that line started up. On average, every 90 seconds, clear a jam, find out what went wrong, and I'd come back and do the same thing again every single day, and I just was worn out, wasn't a good mom for my kids because I was so tired. She said, now with Integrated Lean Six Sigma, I'm a believer. Our line's stopping every 9 minutes, not 90 seconds. I have more time to be able to also do other work, to learn. My teammates feel like they're a part of their team. They're helping my success. I enjoy coming to work. I feel like an extended family. I come home, I'm less tired, and I have a lot more energy for my kids. And I said to her, we continue this program, one day your line will stop every 240 minutes, and that's because you're pushing the stop button to clean, inspect, and lube every 4 hours. And she just smiled at me and said, right now, I'm just glad it stops every 9 minutes. So. The reason we say 100% total employee involvement is because we need everybody all in. We need to train the people on the job. We need to make sure that they can do their job safely with a high level of quality. At the end of the day, I think all of us want the same thing. We want to be able to come to work. We want to feel like we're making a contribution. We're learning. We want to feel rewarded and recognized for the contributions that we're making. And we feel like we're making a difference. And to me, all 18,500 people can be leaders, whether it's their piece of equipment, whether it's their work process, maybe in terms of production planning system, whether they're procuring materials, or maybe they happen to be the plant manager. But to me, at the end of the day, I want 18,500 committed, energized leaders across our integrated supply chain.
Very, very important. Everyone understands today the role they have to do or the role they play on a daily basis. To make the transition to become an owner is not only understanding what I do on a daily basis from a process standpoint, but also understanding, okay, what I'm doing, does he have an opportunity? Is there an area where I can improve? And then how do I go about improving on what I do? So I think that's really the difference of what people are seeing and what they're feeling.
Good question, and behaviors is the toughest, but I would say kind of a insatiable sense of urgency, a willingness to prioritize often and rigorously. There needs to be discipline in everything that we do. There needs to be an embrace of standardization. I think one of the things that we struggle with at Kraft is that willingness to standardize. We all like to tinker, we all like to improve, and that's a great asset, but at the end of the day, standardization drives efficiency, so standardization is a behavior that we've got to get better at. And I think you always have to have kind of a sense that it's never good enough, right? You always want to be striving for continuous improvement on a day in, day out basis, minute to minute. And I think that's something that you see in pockets, but when you see it in a collective fashion, that's when things start to really click and you see the greatest, improvements, measurable improvements.
Great question. And sometimes I think maybe how I answer that takes some folks by surprise. I would say that pretty quickly, our hourly associates, they end up quickly falling very much in favor of the program. And why wouldn't they? If their lines stop less, if their lines have planned maintenance versus unplanned maintenance, their lives are just going to be more satisfying in terms of their contribution to the business. Their life on the line is going to be easier, so they quickly are very supportive of it. The toughest challenge is to get our managers to understand a totally different way of operating. A lot of times managers think their job is to be in meetings and be in conference calls and be in their office. Lean Six Sigma, I want the managers out on the floor 50% of the time, training the people, understanding the issues, helping ensure that we bring the right troubleshooting tools to solve the problems. How they think about uptime versus how many cases I get out the door, how they think about reducing the number of stops. It is a totally different way for running an operation. Typically, this isn't something that you're taught in school. It's something that you learn over time by looking at best practices across the industry. So I would say the biggest challenge is the cultural change that our managers need to make. Our associates get it quickly, and they quickly see the benefits of it. It's the job of management to make it happen, along with our associates. That's the biggest challenge.